Busted. Republicans push to end Democrats' personal welfare fraud scheme, you'll cheer. Welfare fraud represents billions, if not trillions of dollars in government waste each year. And keeping in mind that it's typically a wrongdoing related with unlawful migrants and those in the criminal black market, in some cases it's a previous US Congressman who's running the fraud. Such is the situation with this event here. This story comes to us from Chicago, where Jesse Jackson Jr. has been gathering over $100,000 in workers' remuneration, despite the fact that he conceded to plundering his own particular campaign finance and served a jail term as a result of it. Indeed, Republican Representative Rodney Davis has had enough and is endeavoring to change the law and close down Jackson's welfare trick. From the Chicago Sun-Times. I believe if you're a member of Congress and you are convicted of stealing campaign funds, you should not be eligible to receive workers' compensation benefits. Members of Congress need to be good stewards of taxpayer money, Davis said. We're reviewing the process and possible legislative options to prevent the abuse of this program that is meant for honest working taxpayers, he said. Every single government worker, including individuals from Congress, are qualified for laborers' comp, as per the law, in the event that they endure from wounds supported in the execution of obligation while in support of the United States. On account of healthy privacy laws, people, in general, is not qualified for recognizing what sort of employment-related harm Jackson, 52, said he endured on June 1, 2012, while playing out his obligations as an individual from Congress. Unbelievable. Thank God there's a Republican willing to make a move and put a conclusion to this. The main reason that we are getting some answers concerning this now is on account of Jackson is experiencing a chaotic separation from his wife, to additionally serve time for helping him attack his crusade and uncontrollably spending the cash. It's a disgrace they're separating. It appears like they truly merited each other. Things being what they are, what do you think? Is the mental anguish that Jackson experienced at work more terrible than the kind that 95% of whatever remains of the nation experiences every week? I genuinely question it. Go land a genuine position, Jesse, and after that reveal to us the amount you merit your six-figure wage with the administration making your childcare installments. What a joke. What do you think about this? Do not hesitate and write your thoughts in the section below, commentator. Share the truth, be patriots. Thank you for reading. Trump was right. Newt Gingrich confirmed America's worst nightmare on live TV. Newt Gingrich just went on Fox News and was not holding back. He was on to talk about the terrorist attack in France, but he sent a dire warning to America that it will be happening here soon if we don't stand up to the lying media. After describing how Europe is bringing these terrorist attacks on themselves, Newt targeted the American media. Newt said political correctness in the mainstream media is causing people to ignore the threat of radical Islamists immigrating to the U.S. Then Newt turned his attention to the ridiculous idea of gun control, pointing out how France's strict gun control laws are inviting terrorism. France has very strict gun laws, except for terrorists, who seem to always be able to get guns. The question is, are you willing to accept immigrants? WHO refused to join your country. Recently in a shooting in the US, the Associated Press refused to print that the person said Allah Akbar. I mean, you have this whole elite effort to refuse to confront how bad things are, and it's almost like they're terrified of being honest about what the problems are. He did it. Trump just buried the Democratic Party forever with this surprise announcement. President Trump just turned Washington upside down. He just announced a massive tax cut that will be unveiled next week. This is the Democrats' worst nightmare, as they know most Americans would love a tax cut. Just the latest example of Trump following through on his promises, and the Democrats will panic. He told the Associated Press that the plan will result in tax cuts for both individuals and businesses. He also told them it would be the biggest ever. Bigger than any tax cut ever. Speaker Paul Ryan has been telling President Trump not to push for a tax cut this year, but he just showed Ryan and the establishment who is really in charge. Share on Facebook to spread the good news. From the Associated Press. The president says the package will be released on Wednesday or shortly thereafter, just before his 100-day mark in office. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin initially set a goal of getting tax reform passed by August, but that deadline has slipped. Mnuchin now says the administration still hoped to get a bill passed well before the end of the year. The year breaking, Trump to announce massive plan to make America great again next week. In an interview with the Associated Press, President Donald Trump announced that he was going to be unveiling his long-awaited tax plan next week, calling it a massive tax cut that will be bigger, I believe, than any tax cut ever. Trump added that it would be unveiled on Wednesday or shortly thereafter, which would put it just days short of his 100th day in office. On Thursday, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin also announced that major tax reform was on the way soon from the administration. According to NBC News, Mnuchin's statement was one of the reasons behind a 200-point jump in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. While the administration had initially set a target of August to pass tax reform, Mnuchin now says he's looking to get it passed by the end of the year. Trump's pledge to reduce and simplify taxes was one of the most visible and ambitious proposals the president made during his 2016 campaign. Trump proposed the American tax code be simplified to only include 4 brackets: 0%, 10%, 20%, and 25%, and said that no American business from a Fortune 500 to a mom-and-pop shop to a freelancer living job to job, will pay more than 15% of their business income in taxes. According to Fox News, Mnuchin said Thursday that the plan would cut $2 trillion in taxes over a decade, certainly not small change. To former Republican presidential candidate and notable tax hawk Steve Forbes, that's a very good thing. I think he's recognized that if he doesn't get this economy moving in a way that people visibly feel it, he and the Republicans are going to be in deep trouble next year, Forbes said in an interview with Fox Business News. However, he said the president would need to push to get it quickly through a sometimes balky Congress. When you make an investment, it doesn't mean the building rises up the next day, or the factory rises up the next day, or the services are available the next day, Forbes said. It takes time to make these things happen. Why aren't they realistic about how the world works? Whatever the case, let's hope that tax reform works out a lot better than the first try at Obamacare's repeal did. The Trump administration needs to get on with making America great again in a big way. Please like and share on Facebook and Twitter if you support tax reform. What do you think should be in Trump's tax plan? Scroll down to comment below. US Navy redesigning brand new submarine for one purpose only. The US Navy is redesigning its new submarines, and the reason why might surprise you. It's modifying the interior of the warships to accommodate the needs of female crew members. Submarines used to be constructed with the needs of men in mind, but that is soon going to change, according to the Associated Press. Now that more women are serving aboard the vessels, their needs will also be considered, defense contractor Electric Boat told the AP. The sub-fleet began accepting female officers in 2012 and female enlisted personnel in 2014, according to The Hill. Electric Boat will redesign the Navy's Virginia-class fast attack subs and Columbia-class ballistic missile submarine. Both vessels will be constructed with male and female body measurements in mind. We have a clean sheet of paper, so from the ground up, we'll optimize for both men and women, said Brian Wilson, director of the new ballistic missile sub-program for Electric Boat. The optimizations include more doors and washrooms, which will create separate sleeping and bathing areas for women for additional privacy. Other modifications include seat adjustments so everyone can reach controls and joysticks. Valves in certain areas will also be lowered and steps will be added in certain places so everyone can access the tools or equipment they need. Overhead valves will be made easier to turn. The USS New Jersey, the first submarine built with the new features, was expected to join the fleet in 2021. Electric Boat officials did not share an estimate of how much the modifications would cost the Navy. To accommodate women, The Navy has already created signs for bathroom doors to indicate whether a male or female is using the facility. So far there's no word on how the Navy would deal with bathrooms for transgender people. One of the first women to serve on board a submarine, Lieutenant Marquette Levy, said that at 5 feet 6 inches she didn't have many problems reaching valves and other equipment, but that the changes would benefit shorter women. One would assume that up until this point, shorter men simply had to deal with it. Watch, Trump issues powerful new warning to China, Americans are cheering. President Trump is quickly becoming the most powerful force on the world stage, returning America to the position of prominence we once enjoyed. In a memo signed and released yesterday, President Trump promised to protect Americans'